Hey guys, welcome to Action Unlimited's first deck tech review. Uh, what we got for us here today is a draft deck that I got using the new M13. It's the first draft that we had in the store. People really seem to be enjoying this set so far. They like all the big creatures. I think people was glad to see Miracle gone. I didn't think it was too bad of a problem in the AVR drafts, but some people really didn't like it unless they got it, in which case they loved it. But overall, people seem to like this set so far. So let's start on this. Over here we got the Arbiter Elf. Now I was able to pick this guy up pretty late in the draft. If you wasn't going exclusively green, he's a horrible card to have. But since my deck featured mostly a lot of green creatures, he came in real useful. The ability to untap a forest so that you can drop something on turn 2 and 3. Respectively, couldn't be cast at the time, or even if you could get mana screwed, it kind of helped you out there a little bit, kind of catch up, because it was like an additional land. You lost the creature tempo, but eventually you would catch back up because the creatures that come after him are quite a bit outclassed what most people were throwing down. Okay, next we got the Mog Flunkies. Now, I played with this guy back in Tempest. I loved him back then. I like him now. He's not as good now as he was then because he really fit in well with the slide deck, or what the kids call red deck wins now. He was really good back then. He actually was really good in this deck because I always seem to have a creature out, and most of the time the creatures were either 3/3s or 4/4s, somewhere in that territory. So he was following quite a big creature into combat. Now we got the Centaur. He's just 3/3 for 3 mana. Nothing special about him, but he likes to team up with his buddy, the old Mog Flunkies over here. And that's what happened a lot. Other than that, he's very efficient for his mana cost, just no abilities. Now this guy was pretty good. If your opponent only has a few pieces of removal and they have to save them up, and you drop this guy down on them, it makes those just dead in their hand. And once you can slap down like a rancor on him or something, he becomes really hard to deal with. And so they'll just be trying to chump block him. You'll keep getting damage in, but they can't use their removal spells to get rid of him because of the hexproof. This is a really well designed card. You get 3/3 for the 4 mana cost. Easily splashable in any other deck that you could draft. Let's go down here to one of my favorite cards out of this whole deck. Was the Prized Elephant. Every time this guy came out, he was so good for me. He always came out as a 4/4, and his trample seemed to go over most anybody who wasn't playing green creatures. He's just really big for the 4 mana that you get, and the trample was just really great. I only have 1 plains in the deck, but honestly, I never had trouble getting this guy out. Over here we got another 4 power trample guy for 4 mana. The only downside to him is his 2 toughness. He gets killed a lot, but at least his 2 damage goes through. And a lot of times I was actually trading with creatures that had 3 power, so it was alright to trade with those. Had no problem with that. Now this was my 3rd pick in the draft out of the first pack. I have no idea why the person opening it didn't take it. The person next to me didn't take it, but it got passed to me. And I'm always happy to take something like this. And I knew right then that I could probably pick up quite a few green cards. At least pack 1. Turned out that pack 2 was just as good. Next we got this guy. Now he's a little high to cast at 5 mana, but you do get a 4/4 body. Now with the cards that I was able to draft, since they all had at least, the majority of them was 3 power, I'm thinking the only thing I didn't have was the Arbiter Elf and a Silk/Spider. It means every creature I drawed after playing him drew me a card. So that's really good in this type of deck because I can keep laying on the beats. Since I didn't get a lot of flyers, which is traditionally what I like to do when I draft, I like to draft flyers, and I like to draft removal. Since I couldn't get none of that, I went ahead and took this Silk/Spider in the 3rd pack. He clears the board. He blocks, and his 7 toughness is really hard to get through if you have to go up against another aggressive green-red, green-black deck. They're calling this guy the Sarah Spider. He is really good, a 4/4 vigilance creature. that chem blocks are an angel. Really good for what you pay for him, and the best part about him is he's just a common. He's going to show up a lot, so get used to seeing him. Now, originally, I didn't want to take this card because I had seen it before, and I thought that it said when he come into play, your life drops to 7. Now, I looked at him again when he came to me, and I noticed that it said it can't go below 7, or if you're under 7, it goes back up. So I immediately took this guy, and I haven't regretted it. He came in, and he just beat the tar out of people. If they weren't able to remove him, they just couldn't deal with it, and the game was pretty much over. The only time that a really random thing came up is I had him out, and my opponent cast the white enchantment that keeps returning his life to the number of permanents that he controls. And I think he had about 12, 13 lands, plus he kept playing creatures every turn. So we just kind of stalemated out until he drew his deck out, and that was fine too. Up next, we're going to look at the removal cards, the spell cards. Alright, here's the spells that I got. Got several pieces of removal and a land searcher, so we'll start over here. First up is Farseek. Now, I really only got Farseek in this deck to make sure I can find that one plains that I got. And actually finding that plains was never really a problem. The majority of the games, for some reason, I actually ended up with the plains in my hand. But this is really good because it would speed up my turns, regardless if I needed the plains or not. The only time I struggled with getting the plains was when my opponent played a duress on the first turn and took this Farseek, since it was the only spell in my hand. I don't think he knew I only had one plains, but I really wouldn't know that unless maybe I'd had something else in my hand for him to take. But I did have the elephant in my hand, so maybe he knew that I couldn't cast it without this. Next, thank you, Jared, for passing this to me. I really did appreciate that because this has won me a lot of the matches. Just the ability to keep giving +2 to my creatures and give them trample, even if they had trample already, the +2 was still great. And the ability to keep bringing it back and, allow the rinse and repeat over and over again was just amazing. Now, this is not the flashiest, best card in this set, but I have no combat tricks in this deck. So, this actually probably won me at least one match simply because I was able to blow out a creature. I believe he attacked into my Arbiter Elf, and I killed off something that he really needed to keep on the board. I believe it was a lifelinker. It's kind of eluding me at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then after that, I just started laying the beats on him. Searing Spear. It's not Incinerate. It's not Lightning Bolt. But that burn, it does 3 points of damage to target creature player. And it kills a lot of creatures in this format. There's not a lot with regeneration, so that's not a problem that it's not on the card. It's a solid card. I really like picking that up. Now, over here is the Flames of the Firebrand. Another 3 damage spell for 3 mana this time. However, this time I can split it up. This was so good for taking down annoying tokens, so they couldn't chump block if I didn't have something out with trample. Really good. And the last thing that we got here is the Arms Dealer. Now, I know they're creatures, but I can't recall ever attacking with them. I may have chump blocked and blew them up, but that was about it. This guy can just about take down the majority of the creatures in the format. He can take out almost everything in my deck outside of the Worm. Really good card. In just a minute, we'll check out the lands. Okay, here's the land base that I used. Not much, pretty simple. I normally run 17 lands, but considering I had so many huge casting cost things, I decided to go ahead and up it to 18. And because I really don't count the Evolving Wilds either as a land, because you can't actually tap it for mana. Between that Evolving Wild and that Farseek, I never had a problem finding my plains except for that one time. But I'd already mentioned it about the duress. Lot of forest. I had a couple weird games where I ended up with like 3 mountains and 1 forest. So I don't know how that happened. I was still able to pull it off because I think I only have 1 or 2 double green spells. Plus the Arbiter Elf does pretty good for untapping that 1 forest. Um, Hope you all enjoyed the deck tech, and I'll be posting matches pretty soon. When the matches I do play this deck in, so I'm not going to mention any wins or losses until after those are posted, just to not give away anything to the people who weren't at the match. I just want to say thank you to all the guys that came from Breathitt County over to the store. I know y'all come about an hour away to draft with us. Love to have you guys there every weekend. Thank you. Y'all can check us out at www.actionunlimitedgames.com. We got some articles posted on there. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/actionunlimitedgames. Thanks, guys. Bye.